Fun.
It's going good. It's going good. It seems like it's been a long time getting this thing up and running.
Yes, it has.
I hear you.
There.
You got a little bit of the nervousness. I got a little bit of the jitters in me.
Yeah, a little bit. Just worried about hopefully the people in the room have a nice time chatting with us and talking with our guest and everything.
It'll be fun. Well, speaking of our guests, why don't we get right to our guests? For everybody, gentlemen we have on the phone, you may know, you may not know. Hopefully you know, but if you don't, you will by the end of the show. On the phone with us live is Mr. George Rodriguez from Rodrigo Cigars. How you doing, George?
I'm doing great today. Mike and Mike, thank you for having me on the show. It's a real huge honor to be the first guest on your new show here.
We appreciate it. The honor is all ours, my man. So listen, why don't we get this show rolling? Why don't you tell the people who may or may not know about you a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, how you got started, and a little bit about your brand.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess I'll just kind of start by kind of saying what Rodrigo Cigars is. It's a company I started about a year ago, and we're a boutique cigar company. Really just kind of focus on everything you'd expect from a boutique cigar company. I think one of the things that really sets us apart is the fact that we're not made by one of the usual suspects out there. And I think you guys know what I mean by that, but I think a lot of folks out there may not actually know that a lot of cigar brands out there, while there are many brands, a lot of them are made by the same handful of factories out there. And so kind of have a unique story about how I got into this, and a lot of folks ask me all the time, hey, George, how the heck does someone just go from, being a corporate guy out there, my background is, in the software industry, also work in the oil and gas industry, and say, well, how the heck did you get into this? And really, the fact of the matter is that it's just something I wanted to do, So about a year ago, I got myself on a plane, went down to the Dominican Republic, went down to Santiago, the cigar capital of the free world, and basically, kind of did what I guess the best way to describe it is, you guys remember that movie Blow with Johnny Depp?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember the scene where he goes down to Tijuana and basically walks around, talks to everybody he could in broken Spanish, and, he's looking for a certain product down there?
Right. Yep.
Right. Well, I basically did the same thing for cigars, right? And my whole thing was that I didn't want to just go there, just go on a cigar tour, kind of do the tourist thing. I really wanted to learn something about, the true art and tradition and the technique of making cigars. Okay. So what that led me to was really, trying to find people that would spend the time to talk to me about this. Like I said, anyone can get on a plane, go to a cigar tour, walk in and out of it, and you'll learn a whole lot. But I wanted something more than that. And so I can tell you from my experience in doing that was, like I said, you can get those cigar tours, but to get kind of behind the scenes and really pull back that veil, you got to know somebody. So I was pretty much, shunned by a lot of the big factories that I asked for that information from, which is kind of the way fate works out, right? Because I walked out of this one factory where I was literally kind of escorted out of, and I won't name the factory, but I saw a gentleman there. He's an old-timer, and sitting on a scooter, smoking a cigar, and I kind of threw up my hands, and I said, I don't know what to do next. And, he asked me, he said, well, what are you looking for? And I said, I'm looking for someone to really spend some time with me and, teach me something about cigars here. And he said, okay, well, you know what? Why don't you go talk to a friend of mine? He's a young guy like yourself, and he'll take the time to talk to you and teach you something. I said, okay, great. What's your friend's name? He said, my friend's name is Chico. And I said, where do I find Chico? And he said, well, go straight ahead. Just drive straight down this road here and you'll find him. So I get into the car, start driving down the road. All of a sudden it turns into a dirt road, and I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, way outside of Santiago. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this guy kind of set me on a snipe hunt here. I'm thinking, should I turn back? Should I keep going? And all of a sudden, I see this very nondescript stucco building. There's two gentlemen standing outside of it, and one of them's a tall American guy with golf clothes on, and a Dominican man. And so I figured, well, these guys are hanging here. Both smoke cigars here. One of these guys is going to be in business. So let me go talk to him. And it was a really funny thing because I got out of the car. They're looking at me like, who the heck is this guy? Approaching us here out in the middle of nowhere. Introduced myself and said, hey, my name's George. I'm looking to learn something about the cigar business. And what do you got going on here? And they both kind of looked at me and chuckled and laughed a bit. And I said, okay, fill me in here. What's so funny? And the American guy, his name is Kevin Michaels, who's become a great mentor and friend to me, said to me, he goes, George, do you know who this gentleman is standing next to me? I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. He said, well, this is William Ventura. And William was a master blender for Davidoff for many, many years. And he runs this factory now. He's kind of doing his own thing, kind of moving away from the big corporate structure. Got his own independent factory here. And Kevin went on to say, but what's funny is that we were just standing here and we were saying to ourselves, today is the first day that we actually smoked a cigar in the past 2 years in front of this factory. And you come strolling along here asking for information and looking to get into the cigar business. So they both thought that was quite funny. And what William had said to me then in Spanish, he said, well, there's really no easy way for you to find me here. So I'm taking this as a sign of fate that God must have sent you here, and now I have to take care of you. So he literally took me under his wing, brought me into the factory. And the guy is just an incredible, sweet man. He's extremely well respected on the island as one of the best in the cigar business. Been doing it for years and years, and he just really opened up his book of knowledge to me, which is, like I said, I think I'm the luckiest guy in the cigar business, and that's how I got started. And it's all from that chance meeting, from kind of looking at your life and saying, what do I want to do here, and taking a step forward and really making it happen. So, like I said, I'm the luckiest guy in the business, and that's how I got started here.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean,
story.
I had the pleasure of meeting you at Badger Den Cigar one night, and I can honestly say your passion and your honesty is something that I admire, and I think you're a great guy, and just keep doing what you're doing. Why don't we get into a couple? I got a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Man, my throat. Sorry. Where do you see yourself with your cigar line? Where do you see it going? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Are you going to expand? Are you going to go into more boutiques? Actually, probably better yet, probably be a good tell people where your cigars are. Probably be let's go there first, where they can find your smokes.
Yeah, sure. Well, let me just say right now we're kind of in this quasi stealth mode, and even though you're saying to yourself, yeah, I don't want to really expand too fast. I really want to focus on the product. When you put a good product out there, even to just the Cigar Smoker Network, people will find out about it, right? And for that reason, things are starting to grow faster than I anticipated. So we've got, our core is here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the reason for that is because, my business in the oil and gas world brought me to Pennsylvania about a year ago. And then I also found that this is just an incredibly great cigar town. It's just fantastic. People here, like any other cigar communities, I mean, it's you come to expect that. But Pennsylvania is still a tobacco-friendly, or relatively tobacco-friendly state. So I do like that, and I'm sure Mike, before he gives a big thumbs up for that as well. But, we've got a few shops here that really have gotten behind the brand. The Leaf and Beans, there's one in McMurray, PA. There's one in the Strip District. Old Allegheny Smoke Shop is another great shop that has been in business for 25, 30 years, focusing on boutique cigars. And those guys have really helped me craft the brand and the positioning and all of that stuff. So I'm very grateful to those shops. Then I've expanded back into my home state of New York, upstate New York, where we have Badger Cigar Den, and we've got Duke's Basil stores as well, which have really gotten behind the brand, and then James and Son in Saratoga Springs. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back there and doing some events, expanding into New England as well. Mr. J's Savannah Shop, and we've got a few other ones that have coming up right behind Mr. J's in Rhode Island, in Massachusetts, and we're also expanding into New Jersey with the famous Reuben Smokestack. If you guys know of Reuben, he is one of the most discriminating cigar shop owners, tobacconists out there. Also have some great support in Texas, which Houston is another awesome cigar town. We've got Santa Barbara Cigars on the west side of Houston, and a great new shop in the Heights district called Heights Cigar Lounge. And a gal named Jenny there, who's been in the business for a long time, she and her partner Paul have opened up this fantastic little shop in a great neighborhood there. And Kenny over in Santa Barbara Cigars, he's been supporting boutiques for years and years. As a matter of fact, I smoked my first Tatuaje, which came from Kenny, years ago. So those are the main shops right now. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of them queued up, from Colorado and California. A bunch of them really that, like I said, they've contacted me and said, I've got, heard the good buzz about the cigar. When can you get me some? And I'm basically putting these cigar shops in the queue as we go along here. And I'm very thankful to, all the smokers out there, everyone on the pup.com and some of the other sites which have been talking about the cigar. And that's, that's what we do in the cigar community, right? We support each other.
Exactly.
Great thing. Yep. So, and then a lot of people, they've been kind of talking about my website, and like I said, we're kind of in this stealth mode, but I'm working on it. We'll get there and get you some more information about the cigars, but, if you can get your hands on the cigars, great. Give them a try. You're going to love them. And if you want to give me an email, directly, and suggest, a D&M, or if you want to have me send you some cigars directly, I'll gladly do that. My email address is george@rodrigocigars.com. So.
We'll be sure to add that, George, into the post when we put that up, your email address, so anybody who wants to try these fabulous cigars, they'll be able to find out where they can get them. Mike, you got any questions for George?
Yeah.
Did you have something to say, George? Go ahead.
Well, I just love all the feedback as well. There's been some great feedback, obviously, and we've got someone like William Ventura who's been working on these blends, which have been outstanding. But like I said, we're in this mode where I want to make sure that the product is right. Mike Ford, you did a review on Stogie Review, and there's one thing that really bugged me about that, which was when you tipped off an ash, there was a small void in there. And while it wasn't anything that had altered the taste of the cigar or the performance of the cigar, it just kept me up for several nights, right? And I don't like to see stuff like that. I am rather a perfectionist, and so I went back and worked with the factory, and I just got a shipment back in. We tried some different molds. Home to take some more time when it comes to bunching the cigars, and these babies are packed so nicely. I mean, I've never seen a cigar actually packed this tightly, and the draw is still very consistent, very easy draw, and not too easy on me. So, but that sort of stuff comes from the feedback from smokers, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to do, is get the feedback in, make the cigar better, work on different blends, pay attention to what's going on, in the shops. I spend a lot of time in the shops whenever I can, and build relationships directly with smokers. And I really do encourage people to just contact me directly. That's what I like to do in this business. For me, it's not about making a lot of money or anything. I mean, I'm still in the corporate world, so I thank God, knock on wood, my bills are paid, so I can take care of my wife and my 5 kids. So we're good. This is all about passion and about building something to be proud of.
Oh, that's great.
And sharing it.
Yeah, and like people in the chat room are even saying it's great that you put that much detail or attention to detail into the cigars, and you actually listen to the people that are smoking your cigars, and when there's a problem, you try to fix it. I think that's just wonderful.
Yep, that's what we're doing. And I've got an amazing team.
Question I had for you, actually, somebody asked in the chat room a little earlier. I wanted to find out about the sizes. What's your favorite size and strength of your cigars that you have out, and do you have anything coming out in the near future different?
Sure. Yeah, I've got a couple that have been consistently my favorite, and my first cigar that we blended was actually a Corona size, standard Corona. It was 6 by 46, and it was made with a Corojo wrapper. And what I learned from William is that, when we start a blend, or we're trying out a new wrapper or something, those sizes are the ones that have stood the test of time. It's that perfect ratio between wrapper and filler. And the flavor that came out of that cigar for me was just outstanding. So that's kind of my personal favorite. I started with that cigar. I'll be bringing it back on the market. But what's interesting is that I've got to find the right shops to do that with, because there's such a huge demand for large ring gauges out there that I'm looking at doing the larger ring gauges now. So I've got a couple of blends out there, a couple of the leaf and bean shops where we've been testing these, and the response has been phenomenal. I mean, we cannot keep these things on the shelf. And, the reason for that is that, from day one, working with William, I told him, I said, what I want to do here is to stick with, grade A tobacco all the way through, okay? And then we have, Kevin Michaels, who has been in the business for a long time. He's actually a professional golfer, been on the pro golf circuit for years and years. He's possibly going on the senior tour this year. But what Kevin has done over the years is that when he's not playing golf in the summer in the States, he's in the Dominican or in Nicaragua or in Ecuador, actually making cigars and playing golf in the winter. And so Kevin has helped me a tremendous amount in terms of, he's kind of my connection between the U.S. market and what we actually make, in the factory, okay? So while I might say, hey, let's go make a 6 by 64 or something like that, Kevin will back up and say, well, George, we might not be able to do that with this rich tobacco that you have here, right?
Right.
So,
right.
Let's back off on this. Let's try a different size because the burn rates, etc. And when you're working with this grade A tobacco, it's kind of tricky because you got to get the right burn rate. Beef filler will burn better on a large ring gauge. But what we did was we tried a different blend, kept it all grade A, and now we've got a 6 by 60, which is performing just exceptionally well. Lots of great flavor, very complex, very well balanced cigar. And that's what we try to do, is create that balance. That's what I try to go for first. And then we have, it's a slightly stronger blend in terms of strength, but the complexity coming out of the cigar is fantastic. We've got some great scent notes coming out of it with the barnyard and the grass and that sort of thing, with the leather, and then the actual tasting notes. We're getting cocoa, we're getting coffee out of it, we're getting some caramel towards the end, towards the finish, which has been fantastic. So I'm really impressed with the cigar, and I'm really impressed that we're able to create such a great performing cigar with all grade A rich tobacco at that ring gauge. So we're going to keep pushing that. Code name for that cigar is called the G6. And we've got the G5, which I think is one of Mike's favorites. You can try that 5.5 by 56, and it's just been a great tasting cigar so far. So that's where we're going towards, and we're still going to do the classic size. We're going to keep that as our classic line with the Robusto, which has been one of my favorites with the Habano wrappers. And you've got your standard Toro 6x50, and we've got a great Bellicoso, which is, we've got some great rollers who know how to do that very, very well. Smoke gets concentrated towards the tip, and you're going to find very subtle tasting notes that are slightly different in that Bellicoso. It comes out a little bit sweeter, actually, than the other two senses do, with a very distinct black cherry note, which I think a lot of smokers are surprised by, and they tend to enjoy a lot.
Yeah, I was surprised by the flavor in the cigars when I smoked them. That's the number one thing I think I've heard about them, too, is the flavors that come out of the cigar. People are just really surprised by them.
Sure, exactly. And the other taste of the surprise part is the price point. We're not the cheapest cigar on the market, but we're kind of at that price point where, under between $6 to $8, we've got a cigar that smokes like a $12 to $15 stick. And that's the feedback that I've been given. I'm not just, saying that, but that's actually what we try to do. So, and we're getting there.
Yeah, I could say, I know I smoked the bigger ring gauges that you gave me, and I think a lot of people think that the bigger ring gauge, you're not getting that flavor, the complexity, and I can say in the samples that you sent me, there's definitely was a nice complexity there, and the cigar was really smooth.
Yes, that's the feedback that we're getting there on that cigar. So we're going to keep making those. We've got a few different sizes in those larger ring gauges. And, and like I said, we appreciate the feedback so we can keep making better cigars.
Absolutely, absolutely. George, what anybody else's cigars you enjoying this today besides your own? Who else are you smoking?
Who else am I smoking? You know what? I actually really enjoy this the new Cane Daytona series. I find it to be a very well-balanced cigar, which I wasn't a fan of the older Canes or standard lines before. I kind of found them to be a little bit one-dimensional. And so I'm quite pleasantly surprised because, from what I've experienced before in those cigars, and now we have something that's still, kind of has that, all ligero design to it, but has some complexity. So I've been smoking those for the past week in between, all of my Rodrigos. So I've been quite pleased with that. And I stick to, I guess I'm rather spoiled because I hang out in the shops. I've got a lot of great friends that own cigar shops, and so I stick to kind of the stuff that I like, right? So I've smoked a couple of Añejo Sharks this week, some of the Padron 26s and 64s. So it's, my taste goes across the board, and then once in a while I'll just pick up, like a Roma de Cuba for, $5.95. It's a great stick. So.
Cool. All right, let's take a question here from the chat. John Gem asked, what are the main challenges you faced in starting up a cigar company?
Main challenges? Well, I really didn't think about that too much when I first started. It was, like I said, it was just something that I just wanted to do. and it just kind of took one step after another, and I'm the type of person that just likes to let things evolve naturally. But I look at kind of where I've been challenged here is really, I think, really understanding kind of what to put out in the market first. I mean, a lot of us might say, okay, this is what I like to smoke. I want to put this out. And I did do that in the beginning. And I had a lot of cigars on the shelf because, I wasn't getting any feedback from the market. So what I try to do now is kind of take my preferences, also take the feedback from the market, and, get the right sizes in there. I think that's really kind of key on understanding the mind of the consumer and of the smoker. So, while I might really love smaller ring gauge cigars, and I just made a new Lancero, by the way, it's fantastic. A lot of folks, when they walk into the cigar shop, they say, I'm going to spend $8 on a cigar. I'm holding the cigar in my hand, and it's a 56 or a 60 ring gauge, and it's the same price as this, this Corona, right, or this Hemingway or something. And that right there kind of tells you a lot about the mindset of the smokers out there. So you got to pay attention to that. I think the other challenge is just finding the right people to work with in the cigar-producing countries. Right? So I got extremely lucky in finding William and working with him, and I've been very, very blessed with him and having Kevin Michaels there as well. I've heard some real horror stories about guys that have gone down there with money burning a hole in their pocket, and factories telling them that, I'm going to make you a cigar that's going to smoke like, it's going to have a 94 rating, have you smoke, and, you'll leave the island feeling great, and you'll get your first shipment and say, this is not what I smoked. So, I think that will be a huge challenge with someone coming into the business. And like anything else, I think you have to take it slow. You have to really, try something, refine it, learn from it, and then do the next thing, which is when you have a great partner in the business, you can do that sort of thing. And I'm not so sure everyone kind of starts out as lucky as I did. So,
right.
Branding is the branding is a big question mark, right? Kind of deciding like who you are, where you're going, what is your cigar company about, and how is it reflected through the experience of the cigar, right? So, Rodrigo is about honoring that tradition, but we try and kick it up a notch with some of the complexity that we're putting into the flavors into the cigars, right? But we are very, very much very cognizant in let's take our wrappers, for instance, right? The wrappers are actually a natural Maduro Habano. We don't cook the leaf to get them to a certain color, right? I mean, some of the shading you'll see is going to be slightly different, and that's okay because, we're not forcefully cooking them. We're not adding any colors or anything like that. But that goes back to kind of what I wanted the company to be, is to really honor, what true cigar making is all about. So you have to think about that, and then you have to think about how is that best reflected in the brand. And for, Rodrigo, people ask, what does that name actually mean? And, my last name is Rodriguez, and so the Rodrigo thing is because Rodriguez is derived from the Spanish Rodrigo. It's my way of honoring kind of those who've done this before me. And so it's not exactly just about George and what George wants to smoke. It's about how we all got here to this point of making cigars and honoring this tradition. And so that's extremely important. And then understanding too the marketing of cigars, right? So you can't just put a bunch of cigars out on the shelf and expect them to sell. Cigar smokers are kind of like wine drinkers where they will try new things. It's fun to try new things. It's a hobby, right? And a lot of folks outside of the cigar industry don't understand that part of it. But it is a hobby, and that's what we enjoy. But you really have to make sure you make that first great impression. Otherwise, you're toast, right, before you even get started.
Right.
So those are all incredibly important things in starting a new cigar company. And I just think that, with anyone, getting the getting the right marketing position, kind of sticking to what you believe in, and taking it slow so that you can refine things is going to be very, very key. So,
agreed. Let's take another question from the chat room. Jersey J asked, George, are you going to be attending the IPCPR this year?
Well, I don't intend on having a booth, but I'll probably go with, I said it, the cigar community, you end up making a lot of great friends. And so I'm sure somebody will either share some booth space with me or I'll tag along or something and just have a good time like everybody else and, meet everyone else face-to-face out there. So that's what I intend on doing. And, maybe next year, 2012, we'll get a booth and we'll really, when everyone is saying, what a great cigar Rodrigo is, we're going to have to put our booth out there. So.
Good. All right. I can answer this question for you. Somebody asked about the price range for your cigars again. I know you answered it earlier. I have it written down here. I have from $679 to $789 for the sizes that are out right now. And that goes along with the question from Cigar Lifter. When is the 60 ring gauge coming out?
60 ring gauge will be out. I expect it probably to be out by June. And there are a couple shops where you can get them. If you want to try them out, shoot me an email, and I'll get some over to you. But what I'm trying to do with those is I want to differentiate the packaging. And that might mean that I might change the band a little bit, but just something to differentiate that it is a different blend and it is a different line. So I take things slow. I let things evolve naturally, and when it feels right, I put it out there.
Great.
Good.
George, what do you? Let me ask you this: what do you look for in a cigar? I know when I'm spending my money and I'm buying a cigar, I want something for a good price, but something that's going to give me some complexity and flavor. What do you look for in a cigar?
Well, I think it was Zeno Davidoff that said, a cigar is supposed to be enjoyed through the taste and through the hands and through the eyes, right? So it's got to be something that speaks to me through all of my senses. And, it starts off with, what does that wrapper look like? How does a cigar feel in my hand? The way that the band is presented. So all the presentation things, right? That does say something about the cigar. And then you hopefully see how the cigar performs, and hopefully that all of that presentation is not just a facade or some, I guess, lackluster filler, right? But I look at construction first. I look for, great aroma coming off the light, and also the pre-light as well. And then, to me, everything else is in the smoke itself, right? So as that smoke is, kind of moving across my palate and, through my nose, and I'm looking at it and enjoying it, that's what the cigar is all about for me. So
Okay.
I like balanced cigar stuff, right? So I'm not a huge fan of those, knock you out, punch you in the face sort of strength. It's just, a lot of people like that, but it's not my thing. I don't like mild cigar stuff. And so if it's too light and it tastes like paper, I'm setting it down. And I think life is too short to smoke cigars that, are not enjoyable. If it doesn't taste good, if it doesn't hit your palate, if you're not enjoying it, set it down. I mean, I can show you my ashtray. There are many in there that I sit down after, smoking a quarter of it, and I'd rather light up a Rodrigo. So.
Right. Now, we had another question for you here in the chat. Jersey J asked another one. He says, "Is there any meaning behind your logo on the cigar band?"
Sure. Well, the logo itself, you've got the lions and the tobacco leaves, and also the 5-point star. So I wanted to do something that would immediately reflect both tradition and something about myself. And so there's 5 tobacco leaves in there, and each one of those represents one of my children. Right? So my 5 kids. There's also the 5-point star, which kind of has 2 meanings to me. Really good, actually. One is it kind of represents that republic sort of thing, right? So my family's from Puerto Rico. You see that in the star. And also kind of the sister or brother island, I guess you can say, being Cuba, also has that star being very, I think it's very prominent in the representation of the country, right? So it's kind of an ode to the countries that are producing tobacco for many, many years, hundreds of years. And it's also representative of my wife and the mother of my children, which is the center of all of those leaves. So that's how we put it together. And again, I'm blessed where I have a brother of mine who's based in Manhattan. He's actually an animator and a very gifted artist. He does a lot of work for MTV and I guess all of those production companies. And he's a very blessed man. He's been doing the same thing since he's been a little kid, a 5-year-old, drawing funny pictures, and that's what he does today. And he created a great logo for me. So there you go.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
All right, George, I got one last question I got for you. It's going to be a 2-part question. What's your take on cigar bloggers, cigar reviewers, per se, and do you think they help or hurt the industry? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, sure. Well, there's definitely a rhetorical answer to that, but as you by now, I'm an open book here. So I only know one way to answer that, and that's with great honesty. I personally get a lot of value, I think, from cigar bloggers. Okay, because I can I get the feeling that I get when I'm reading something from a cigar blogger is that I'm getting their honest opinion about something, whereas I don't feel that I'm getting that from a publication that's selling advertising. Okay, and more often than not, when I'm reading a publication that's selling a lot of advertising, and I see some of the responses and reviews, I tend to raise an eyebrow because I'm the guy who's sitting in the cigar shops all the time, and I'm saying, this is not what I'm hearing about this cigar. Well, why is this cigar rated better than this cigar? And it ends up sounding like, feeling like I'm reading something where people, the guys who are writing it, are a little bit out of touch. And sorry if I'm offending anybody out there, but again, I'm being honest here. I don't get that with cigar bloggers. Okay, I feel like you guys are very honest, and you report what you're seeing. You report about your experience with the cigars. Some of you have some ratings that are spot on, and some of you I would argue with. But I've stated the downside on the cigar blogger side is that sometimes I read through them and I'm saying, wow, this guy is so critical. Is he forgetting that he's reviewing a handmade product that's made from nature? Okay, and my response to that sometimes when I read a review on a cigar blog is, would you rather me make this with a machine? Would that make you happy? And so that's kind of the two sides of the coin with the cigar bloggers. But I can tell you, I greatly appreciate the passion, and I know you guys are doing this because of the passion, because it's something that you want to do. The same reason why I make cigars. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we appreciate you being on here. We appreciate the cigars. And one real quick one here. Jersey J asked a good one, actually. Are you doing any events at the cigar shops yet? Like, he's looking at a Reuben Smokestack. He lives over close to there. Are you going to be doing any events, or aren't events on your radar yet?
Certainly. Yeah, we'll definitely be doing some events. For now, I've been really just focused on, creating the cigars. And I have done some events here locally in Pittsburgh and in New York and stuff, which went over very, very well. And so I'm definitely looking forward to doing more events. Get down to Rubens with Jersey J and the whole crew there. I love being out there with the cigar smokers, and that's one of the key things for me in this business is that connection with the people. So we'll be out there. If you get a chance, go to my website, which I know it's kind of a board website right now, but it's just a contact page, and the main reason for that is people can get a hold of me, give me feedback on the cigars, and sign up for my mailing list so that I can let you know when we're doing an event or if we're opening up a new account somewhere near you, and you can let me know where you think I should be. So that's what we're doing today.
Great. That's great. All right. Well, George, we really appreciate you being on. We've taken up quite a bit of your time. It seems like you've been interacting really good with the chat room. If you would like to stay on and stay on the chat room, when you get off the call, that's up to you. One thing I will put out there, I know George and I spoke earlier, and I know people are interested in getting your smoke. So he offered to give anybody who uses the promo code Stogie411 a discount. Why don't you tell them the discount, George, and where they can go to get your cigars? I think it's a phenomenal offering that you put up on our show, and Mike and I are both, like we said, we are honored to have you on and that you put this offer up. So why don't you go ahead and give them the details on that? Yeah,
sure. So if you shoot me an email and mention Stogie411, what I'll do is I'll send you either a coupon or a gift certificate. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but basically it'll be for a great discount. It'll get 30% off, so you can get out there, you try the cigar, and you can redeem that either at your local B&M or when I launch a site, you can also buy them direct from me as well. So that's what we're doing. Just contact me. It's Stogie411 in the email somewhere, and I'll we'll get you some Rodrigo cigars at a great price. At least 30% off on the deal.
And now, just to mention, for the website, it's www.rodrigocigars.com. So if you want to go to the website and you can't see the video, there you go.
All right. Well, George, thanks, buddy. I hope you have a great day with your family. Thank you so much for being our very first guest.
Absolutely. And, guys, I want you to say hi to my daughter, Chloe. She's 16, going on 17 here. Say hi, Chloe.
Hi.
Guys, I wanted you to say hi to Chloe because she's the reason why I started smoking cigars. And that was almost 17 years ago. I smoked my first cigar. It was a very fine cigar called Dutch Masters, and it had "It's a Girl" written all over it. However, I kind of got I don't know if I turned green or what, but it wasn't quite the experience I was looking for. And that really started my passion for cigars because I said, you know what, you got guys like Fidel Castro and Al Capone and all these badasses who smoke cigars. These are not men of poor taste, so there must be something better out there. And that started my exploration and my hobby into the tobacco and premium cigar world. So
that's great.
I think we've all tried a Dutch Master one time or two in the beginning. All right, well, George, we're gonna say goodbye to you for now, and we look forward to all your adventures and all the new stuff coming out. And we wish you nothing but the best, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Guys, real honor being the first guest on the show. I wish you a lot of luck with the show. I really like what you're doing here. I like the way you're, Mike in New York, you've got your little studio set up, and then Mike in PA, you've got your you're keeping it real there in the basement sort of set up. I love it. So, keep up the great work, and looking forward to many great shows.
Thanks, man.
All right, George. Thank you, sir. Have a good one now.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. All right. That was George Rodriguez from Rodrigo Cigars. And What a great guy, really. You get a chance, go out and try his cigars. And at that 30% discount, I'll tell you, you're crazy if you don't jump up on it. So why don't I send it over to my partner in crime, Mikey? Why don't we do a little bit of news, and then when we're done with the news, we will take some questions if there's any questions for Mike and I in the chat room, and we'll wrap up the show.
Okay. Not a whole lot of news here for you. Most of you probably already know this. Everybody knows John Huber, formerly of CAO, started a new company, Crowned Heads, and it's going to be interesting what comes out of there. I'm actually looking forward to it. I don't know, or what do you think about it, Mike? Are you looking forward to what he's going to bring out?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be the first one to say this unless somebody else said it and I haven't seen it on Twitter or somewhere. But my prediction is he's gonna go with a small grower, and he's gonna make a name for himself and for that person. I personally think he's going to be successful. I think the guy's got a great personality, and he definitely has tons of friends in this business. And I think he's going to be successful, but I'm looking forward to trying it when it comes out. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm interested to see what he's going to have, and how soon he can get something out the market. That's going to be the other interesting thing.
Right. Right.
Anyway, moving on. Second news story. Ooh, this is a good one. Zycar is reducing the prices on its HC series cigars. I think it's average cost savings of 18% across the board, which I was actually shocked at, especially with the economy, or not the economy, but the market, the way it's going, and people bringing out these uber expensive cigars. I figured everybody did their price cuts back when the tax, when S-chip came into play, but that kind of shocked me.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing, especially, the economy really hasn't recovered yet. And to really cut the price like that and help people out is awesome.
All right. Sorry, everybody. My face wasn't in the mic. My bad.
There's the first show blooper.
Yeah, there I'm putting papers up in front of my face and everything. Hey. All right. Everybody knew I'd screw this up, so... All right, next one. Last one actually. Avo coming out with the 85th anniversary edition. I know when I spoke with Eddie Simon at Cigar Expo, I believe it was last year. He actually gave me samples of the Heritage, and I got the review up on a Stogie Review pretty quick. And I think I was the only one, actually. And it just blew me away. It was amazing for the price point. And I'm curious how now, like the Avo 85th, the retail price is going to be $17.50 plus taxes. Now for you, Mike, in New York, that's going to suck.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna. It's not going to be it's going to be a high price ticket up here in New York, but I'll definitely try it. I love the LE10. I love the Heritage. Was great smoke by them, and I'm looking forward to trying this one. I'll definitely still give it a try.
Yeah, I'd like to give it a try, but it would have to be something for a special occasion for me at that kind of price. But I'm a cheap bastard. Everybody knows I'm a cheap bastard.
Yeah, I think Walt's got it right. It's like the Avo limited editions are always expensive, so it's the way it is. You're going to pay for it no matter what. If you like it, you'll buy it. If you don't, you won't. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think the Heritage set a precedent for them where they can make a lower price cigar that's really good. And they don't always have to go for those uber expensive limited editions and such in order to get their product to the masses.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's it in the news. We don't have a lot of news. It's new and intro, but we got about another 10 minutes. So if we're trying to keep the show within an hour, so if anybody in the chat room has any questions for Mike and I, we'd be happy to take them right now. We do appreciate everybody coming into our first show. We had a really good turnout. We're happy about it. And just a quick note, Mike will continue to be doing his reviews over on StogieReview.com. Go over there, check them out. Nothing will change. We won't be doing reviews over here on Stogie 41. And I will continue to be on Mike Stogie, so make sure you stop by. So we'll just wait a second, see if anybody's got any questions.
As long as I don't get fired. Walt, are you going to fire me? I'm only asking Walt a question here in the chat. Come on.
Actually, Jess got a chat here. Question. Jesse, no, the show right now, it's basically going to be a once a month, every third Saturday at 1 o'clock. So our next show is slated for April 23rd, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If the show grows and we continue to get people coming to the chat room, we have talked about doing it every 2 weeks. Right now, we got some good guests lined up for the next few shows, and we're really excited about that. So you want to take Jersey Jay's question, Mike? Actually, no. We already answered. How often will we go on air? So we already answered it, Jay. Sorry, I answered it all there with Jess's question.
Yeah, just took that question right away from me, didn't you? All right. Oh, Long Ashes.
There's one. Long Ashes has one for you.
I am the one that said about not putting it on there. I just think if my name goes up there along with Brian, Jerry, and Walt's, it's going to make that header just too big. I just don't think it's going to look very nice on the website itself. And I mean, I'm not. I don't need my name out there. Everybody knows who I am. Oh wait, I'm not Jerry. Shit. Once a week. Mike does have a big. Yeah, he does have a big head.
Will Mike improve his background? Well, Jay, I hope he improves it. I told him before the show. I told him weeks ago to put something up, but. You know, he doesn't listen. I'm sure the guys over at Stogie Review have the same problem with him. He doesn't listen. I don't know what else to say.
I don't listen at all. Yeah, there you go. I'll spike my hair up out in all directions. That way it'll hide everything behind me. How about that? I know I wasn't on the mic again. Sorry.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I want to thank everybody for watching our very first show. I hope you guys were entertained. I hope you found it informative. And I hope you all come back April 23rd at 1 o'clock and check Mike out again.
Right, and Jersey Jay, where it's going to be guests and news and just banter. That's what we're doing here. It's going to be special. Yep. So come back next week, or not next week. Why do I say
not next week? Next month, 23rd, April 23rd at 1 o'clock. Just so you know, we will have just a quick note. Our guests will range from manufacturers to reps to B&Ms to bloggers as well. We hope to get the bloggers on here as well because there's a ton of great blogs out there that are really awesome people and are doing it for the same reason we're doing it, for fun and for the get together with everybody. So that's about it. I have nothing else to add, Mike. If you want to wrap the show up, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, we're going to just have a variety of guests, and that's really about it. So I have nothing else for anybody. So I can just say thanks for joining us, and hopefully you stop back on April 23rd.
No, Jay, real quick. We're not competing with anybody. We're not. We're doing this because we like each other, we have fun, and we thought it's something a little different. And it's not about competition. It's about friendship and having fun with other cigar smokers. That's why we're doing this show. Simple as that. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us. We do appreciate you stopping in and checking out Stogie 411. And we'll be back April 23rd at 1 o'clock. So until then, we'll see you later. Thank you.